I'm Andy, welcome to my channel about crypto. It's the first video after a bit of a break. I was on holiday and then I had COVID, which sucked. Still not feeling 100%, but I thought, well, it's about time that I make another video. So yeah, sorry for those couple of weeks when there wasn't much going on in this channel, especially that there was actually quite a lot going on in the crypto space. I was still reasonably active in my Discord, so if you would like to get more updates from me on a regular basis, check out the link in the description. But yeah, let's have a look at what's happening in the markets at the moment and what I think will happen in the coming weeks and months, because the situation changed quite a bit in the last few weeks. If you've been following the market, then of course, I'm sure you're aware of the whole situation with Terra Luna and UST. Luna basically completely collapsed and UST stablecoin depegged completely from the dollar, which of course sent markets in general massively down. It was all happening around this period here when, as you can see, Bitcoin went down quite a bit as well. And then last week we had this really nasty crash when Bitcoin basically hit, well, on my chart it says around 25K. I know that on some exchanges it went down to around 23.5K. And also on that day, Tether started depegging from dollar as well, which of course with everything that was happening with Luna, which was literally just about dying at that point in time, everyone was getting really freaked out. And to be honest, even for me, that was probably the closest I ever been to thinking, shit, we may actually be in some serious trouble here. Because if Tether completely depegged from the dollar, then, well, that would be quite a bit of an issue, and most importantly, it would probably cause absolute mass panic and everyone would be selling absolutely everything. So I'm glad we managed to get out of it. This was probably about as scary as it gets in the crypto space. And then since then, well, Bitcoin's been trading somewhere between sort of 29-ish and 31-ish thousand dollars. So not really doing much. So what is happening here on a macro scale? Well, as we can see, we broke this trend line we had here. The trend line I've mentioned on quite a few occasions, which were tracing very nicely for a while. Oops. So it was going something more or less like this before we broke down. And well, since we broke this trend line and since we put new lower low, well, in fact, we are currently at the levels where we are at the low levels of the summer 2021. And of course, we had this crash, which was far below it. All this means is that the theory of lengthening cycles, which we discuss on this channel and many other channels many times, is essentially no longer true. We cannot claim that cycles are extending because the current cycle, well, it barely extended comparing to the previous one. Depending how we look at it, it either barely extended or it didn't extend. And essentially what we missed was another new all-time high somewhere around here. So basically the whole concept with Bitcoin hitting 100K or whatever, either in late 2021, of course that didn't pan out, or at some point in 2022, that's pretty much now scrapped. So what's likely to happen next? Well, it's just pure speculation, of course. But the main thing we have to acknowledge here that I would argue that this theory, this model, lengthening cycles, would actually work. It would pan out as planned, if not the geopolitical situation in the world. First of all, we had the beginning of the pandemic in March 2020, which caused this capitulation event here. And sure, you could argue that this then jump-started this bull run. But at the same time, even if that was the case, then the same event or the fallout of the pandemic is what's largely driving the bear market now. The rampaging inflation, the increased cost of living, essentially completely changed monetary policies worldwide. And basically what was driving the bull run here is now largely driving the the bear market in the last few months. And then, of course, we have to take into account the war in Ukraine, which added to the overall sense of uncertainty and increased prices even further. So essentially a lot of people have much bigger problems right now to worry about than the price of Bitcoin or how they're going to invest their spare money. A lot of people simply don't have spare money. So of course, it's just pure speculation, but I think it's reasonable to speculate that if those events didn't happen, probably lengthening cycles would actually play out as expected. But that's not what happened. That's not the world we're living in. So what is likely to happen next? Well, there is a chance that what happened last week here, when Bitcoin hit that 25K, was the capitulation event. We had pretty decent volume. We had, of course, massive dip in terms of prices. So that would generally suggest that this could be capitulation and from now we go up. I don't think it's quite this simple. What I would speculate is likely to happen is that Bitcoin will be sort of trending up a little bit over the next few days, couple of weeks maybe. It will hit something between 33 and 35K, and then it will crash and revisit those lower levels here, either 25K, or I wouldn't be surprised if we go down as low as around 20K. In other words, what I expect to happen is something more or less like this. Give or take. So basically, a bit of a move up in the next few days, followed by a crash, probably with bigger volume that we've seen here. Maybe to the same level, maybe a little bit lower. Of course, this crash will also hit altcoins really, really hard because, well, that's what's to be expected in a case of capitulation. And this capitulation here should be then the beginning of the new bull run. So basically, from this point onwards, we should trend up. That being said, of course, I don't expect Bitcoin to put new all-time highs anytime soon. I think what we're looking now essentially is next few weeks of a bumpy ride until we find our bottom, and then months before we actually start going up to some decent figures. We will still have to get above the bull market support band, which is currently just over 40K. We then have to actually defend and stay above it, not like what happened here. And basically, I think it will be easily at least half a year before Bitcoin starts doing something really exciting. And I expect essentially the next bull market to run for the next, 12 to 18 months once we find the bottom here. In other words, I think most of this year will be largely bumpy ride and then probably quite a slow grind up. And I expect the exciting stuff to happen in either very late 2022 or first half of next year. That's my speculation at this point. It may, of course, change depending on how things will pan out. It's possible that this was the market bottom. I don't think it was. My strategy essentially is to observe what will happen next and do something I never really do. I don't tend to swing trade my Bitcoin position or my Bitcoin and Cardano position. But if we see Bitcoin hitting around 33, 34K, I'm planning to sell most of it in anticipation of this dip, because I think it will very, very likely happen. I may be wrong, but that's my plan. And then, of course, we'll see what will happen next. I mean, the market overall is, of course, in a pretty dire situation. We've been in the extreme fear territory for quite a while. Unlike in the previous couple of crypto bear markets, or bearish markets phases, by that I mean summer last year and then beginning of this year, or end of last year, beginning of this year, we don't really see the volume in NFTs that we've seen before. And that's largely because, well, previously we had massive crypto bull run in the spring. And then, yeah, things went quiet in the summer, but a lot of people made a lot of money on crypto in the spring or winter 2020, and then spring 2021. And that money was going into NFTs. Then we had another crypto bull run towards the end of last year. And again, that money then could flow into NFTs in January, February this year. Right now, well, crypto hasn't really done much since pretty much November last year. So of course there's less volume in the market, less money to flow into NFTs. That's why NFTs are not really performing particularly great at the moment. Of course, there are exceptions. I mean, we had Other Side Mint, which is the Yuga Labs, Bored Ape ecosystem, land deed sale mint, which was this massive spike here. But other than that, as you can see, there hasn't been really much happening in NFTs. I think it will pick up a bit over the summer. A lot of people are talking about Solana summer, so essentially NFTs on the Solana blockchain performing well. Let's see how it happens. I think, if anything, it will be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy. What I see is essentially people talking about it, so probably it will happen purely because people are talking about it. But yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm not expecting huge volume over the summer in NFTs, because I simply don't think there is enough money in the system and enough confidence in the system for it to happen. But at the same time, people will get bored. Degens will want to carry on degening. So yeah, I'm sure there will be something going on. And then if we look at all my favorite gaming alts, well, they are way down in the dumpster, as really expected given the market conditions. There's a lot of stuff here which I'm really tempted to buy, but the only thing I bought when we had that capitulation last week was a little bit of Veracity. I just couldn't help myself. But otherwise, I'm essentially stuck in cash and just waiting. I mean, it needs no explanation that there are some great opportunities here, but if we expect that there may be another capitulation event, or even if there is no capitulation, but Bitcoin just keeps trending sideways around 30K, a lot of those will either dip down even more, or they will stay at current prices. So I think there is no rush to get into any of those. But the key thing at the moment is to stay active in this place and keep an eye on your favorite projects. It baffles me how many crypto influencers disappear in the bear market. I'm sure they're doing their own stuff in the background, but they're just not talking about it, and then they come back when things start pumping. But basically, times like this are when you can make real money. Essentially, where we are now is where we were in March 2020, more or less. Or if you prefer, it could be this phase here, when we've been trending. We had this peak, crashed, trending sideways for a while, proper capitulation, and then slow move up. Arguably, if there was no pandemic, this wouldn't happen, and this trend line would continue probably up like this. Or if you prefer, we are somewhere in this phase right here. Essentially, prices are down massively. They will probably go down lower. Altcoins will dip even more. And if you look at the prices, I mean, CDFI, well, it was trending somewhere between 50 cents and $1 in summer 2021. Then a lot of people were complaining that it was too expensive to get into CDFI Launchpad because the price, it will cost them like 5 or 10 grand to do so. Well, now to get to tier 1, it takes you $1,700 because you need 1,000 S-Fund tokens. Sure, it's still a lot of money, but it's getting back to much more sensible levels. A lot of other projects, I mean, I kept saying that Veracity, if it dips below 1 cent, I kept saying that if it dips below 2 cents, it's a no-brainer to buy more. And I stuck by it. It's one of the projects I'm still really bullish on, and I will keep adding more to my bags. Vulcan Forge, Superfarm, Altura. I mean, Jesus, I was buying Altura around 2 cents. I think people first started talking about it when it was around 1 cent. D-Race, pretty much all the stuff, once the market will pick up, it can easily do 20x, 30x and more. I'm not buying into any of those projects right now. I'm waiting for that big capitulation event, but essentially that's the main opportunity right now in the crypto space. If you missed out on the 2020 crash, well, now is the opportunity to stick around, observe the market, know what you want to buy once the crash happens, or once we start seeing signs of recovery, and then start DCAing into those projects. Don't try to time the bottom because you probably won't, but yeah, just see what's happening. If Bitcoin hits again around 25K or less, that's pretty good indication that it may be the bottom, and from there we should go up. So stick around, keep an eye on those projects, and essentially if you play your cards right, you could be in a very different financial position in next 12 to 18 months. It will take a bit of time, it will take a bit of patience, and of course, like I said, you have to play it right. And of course there will be risks involved, there always are in the crypto space. But I think the opportunity we have here is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I think that's it from me for today. This video is already a little bit longer than I planned. I will be now going back to making videos twice a week or 3 times a week on more regular basis. So yeah, there will be more content coming as there used to be. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, pop them in the comment section. If you like this content, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.